Brothers and sisters, we are here today to celebrate the good word of the loving Creator. It is through our joy that He is made happy, and our laughter is carried to His ears on the wings of angels. That being said, I'm reminded of a joke that will undoubtedly be appreciated by Him. A boy and a man were walking through the woods, and the child looks up at the man and says, "Gee, mister, these woods are sure creepy." The man looks down at the boy and says, "What are you complaining for? I'm the one that's got to walk back alone." Speaking of child murder, the God of the Bible is no stranger to commanding, condoning, and ruthlessly slaughtering children at a whim. In fact, it seems He derives great pleasure from doing so. So in this, the first video of a series, we will discuss and point out these verses. Pay attention, Christians, because these are the scriptures you won't hear on Sundays. And since you undoubtedly haven't been bothered to read the book you base your entire life and worldview on, you have no clue they even exist. To those who say, what about context? What's the context of this? To that I say there is no context that is acceptable for killing children. So, welcome to church. We're going to start our little journey into the mind of God with 1 Samuel 15, 2-3. This is what the Lord Almighty says. "I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them and they came up from Egypt. Now go, attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belong to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys." I love how that God so often plainly commands the death of children and infants. You don't have to trust me by this one verse, I've got plenty more. But you will notice that He specifically points out children and infants. That's a loving Creator. From here we go on to 2 Samuel 12, 14-18. "But by doing this, you have shown utter contempt for the Lord. The son born to you will die." After Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had borne to David, and he became ill. David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and spent the nights lying in a sackcloth on the ground. The elders of the household stood beside him to get him up from the ground, but he refused, and he would not eat any food with them. On the 7th day, the child died. David's attendants were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, for they thought, while the child was still living, he wouldn't listen to us when we spoke to him. How can we now tell him the child is dead? He may do something desperate. Another fine example of God's love and mercy. The man is refusing to eat, begs forgiveness from God. God still curses the child, and not only kills the child. No. We're going to make the child suffer for 7 days before he finally dies. 2 Kings 2, 23-24. From there, Elijah went up to Bethel. As he was walking along the road, some boys came out of the town and jeered at him. "Get out of here, Baldy," they said. "Get out of here, Baldy." He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse upon them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys. There's a bedtime story for your children. Call someone a Baldy, 2 bears are going to come maul 42 boys. Isaiah 13, 15-18. It's another good one. One of my favorites. "Whoever is captured will be thrust through. All who are caught will fall by the sword. Their infants will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be looted and their wives violated. See, I will stir up against them the Medes, who do not care for silver and have no delight in gold. Their bows will strike down the young men. They will have no mercy on infants, nor will they look with compassion on children." From here we go on to Jeremiah 11, 22-23. "Therefore, this is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish them. Their young men will die by the sword, their sons and daughters by famine. Not even a remnant will be left to them, because I will bring disaster on the people of Anathoth in the year of their punishment." Finally, let's go all the way back. Way back. Not all the way. Not Genesis, but we are going to talk Exodus. Exodus 12:29. Exodus 12:29 was one of the main turning points for me when I read the Bible. I could not justify or defend this passage, so I couldn't help but include it in this video. I found it to be one of the most abhorrent verses in the Bible, and anybody who tries to defend this is a disgusting human being. Exodus 12:29. At midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner, who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. It wasn't enough to kill the children of humans. No. We have to go after the livestock as well, just to add a little nudge. The reason this one disgusted me so much, for those who don't know, and actually haven't read the Bible, the story of the Pharaoh, everybody knows the story. Oh, put the lamb's blood on your door, your child will die, yada. What always struck me as odd is, first, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Now, by hardening his heart, that means the Pharaoh's unable to change his mind or free the slaves that they speak of in the Bible. No historical evidence to any, Hebrew slaves in Egypt at the time, but fuck it, the Bible says it's there, so we'll go off that story. So God hardens Pharaoh's heart, then tells him to free the slaves through, of course, a messenger. God didn't directly tell him to, Moses comes along, let my people go, all that. But the Pharaoh's unable to do so because, remember, God hardened his heart. So then he's punished with plagues for having a hardened heart. The firstborn children of people who weren't even involved. And even if it is the people involved, why slay the children? Why not strike down the Pharaoh and the others that are, enslaving the people, right? No, don't strike them down. Kill the children. That's where we'll go with it. So you slaughter the children, you set upon the plagues, because the Pharaoh had a hardened heart, because God hardened his heart and he couldn't change his mind. He couldn't let them go. That I could not rationalize. I found that to be an absolute disgusting verse. This is by no means every verse in the Bible regarding killing children, and make no mistake, we will be discussing more of them in the future video. For now, if you enjoy the content I make and want to support future videos being made, check out my Patreon. As always, a huge thank you to all those who have done so already and support me, and I will see you all in the next video.